Friends, good evening and namaste. I hope you are enjoying this course and curious about finding the solutions for the problem. In this contest, I like to tell you one important thing that we need to have an attitude to learn the new skills, to learn the new languages, and to learn the new pieces of knowledge for trying to get apt solutions for the problems. Because our profession is to learn and apply. But somehow, in some cases, some of us may not be trying to learn the new things. That means we may not be able to update ourselves. So it will be an obstacle for them to finding out solutions in case they're passing through any problems. So it means to say that their brains are filled with their knowledge and they don't require any new pieces of knowledge. So for such kind of people, motivation is required from their colleagues, friends, teachers, and so on. If such motivation is given for them, then they will be trying their best to get new pieces of knowledge. That means, with this motivation, what happens actually? They will try to throw out some pieces of outdated knowledge and they will get some sort of space to get the new pieces of knowledge. I mean to say, we always try ourselves to get a free space in our brain to get the new pieces of knowledge. That means to get updations so that we can really work out for finding the solutions for problems. So it may happen in case we adapt the best physical exercises like yoga, like meditation, or any kind of exercises you adapt, you will have an axis that your brain will always be free and of course pleasant to get any kind of other access to have some sort of inputs. So with this, we will try to just go inside our very important stage, that is the session 5 of this particular online course, the solve Nirvana. Let's go. So friends, as I just mentioned, we are now looking at a very important and exciting part of design thinking, that is solve. Let us just look back what we cross the two important stages. In the first stage, we got into the shoes of the persons whom we are trying to help, that is empathize. Then we try to have keen observation or adaptation with interview technique so that we were able to know what they are going through. In the second stage, that is in analysis, we try to find the real root cause for the problems by adapting multi-way technique. And of course, actually we try to know how to define the problems. During this stage, there may be a problem of arising conflicts that also we should consider to resolve the issue and try to get the proper solution. So now after these two stages, we need to embark on a solution, that is our third stage, solve. Yes. For this, first of all, we need to go for ideation, that is generation of large number of ideas as much as possible. During this ideation, we need to use our creativity and our innovation to develop
the best solutions by expanding space for solving. So, here we will generate ideas as much as possible and we will discuss with our friends, colleagues, and the domain experts. And also, we try to get and gather the literature as much as possible. So, whatever we get in this way, that is during the stage of ideation, it is advisable to put it on a paper immediately because there is a possibility that we may forget some important points because human memory is confined to a certain extent. So one of the best ideation methods we can adapt here is brainstorming. So during this stage, we can bring together the perspectives and the strength of all our team members who are really working for solving so that by means of these adaptive techniques, we can uncover the unexpected areas of innovation because we are going to get the huge gathering of ideas and culmination of different mentalities. So we further think out of the box and get best possible obvious methods for solutions. Yes. Once we get confined the most possible solution, we need to go for prototype. Prototype means it is a simple or a model of the product. This prototype may be a working model or a virtual model or a functional model or a simulation model or a paper kind of prototype. For this kind of generation of prototypes, we need not have to spend more money, but only thing is we need to spend our brain. And these prototypes, what we generate or we to develop, will be used for testing, for confirmation or modification if needed. Okay, now let us look at the solution for category A, that is corona attacked persons. Now let us assume that it is a very preliminary stage that we observe. I mean, if someone living or staying with us found attacked by coronavirus and feeling sick, then what at first we need to do? The very beginning is, of course, the situation may differ if you are in house along with our family or staying along with our roommates in hostel. First of all, what we have to do is we should contact the doctor. I mean, in case we suspect the sign of coronavirus with anyone, we should immediately contact the doctor and need to explain the symptoms and need to get advice whether one should pursue COVID-19 testing or not. And then this is so required for prior medication and immediately we need to have quick isolation of the sick person. That means once we suspect with the symptoms and we need to have quick isolation of the candidate from others till they get negative or no symptoms of coronavirus. Here, one thing we should remember isolation may be in a bedroom away from others. It doesn't require that they should be exclusively isolated to the faraway places. And then the sick person should be immediately covered with a body cloth and face mask. And then the rest of the person who are staying along with him in this particular house or the hostel, they should thoroughly wash their hands at least for 20 seconds once they interact with those attacked persons. And it is so needed to keep always the sanitizing the space as many times as possible. Yes. While providing the pitches, water pitches, like preparing food for the patients, we need to maintain the safe distance. It is advised to have at least minimum of 6 feet physical distancing with the corona affected persons because the droplets being flowed may vary from one to another. It's all based on the intensity of their cough, squeezing, and all. So it is always advisable to have the physical distance at minimum of 6 feet. And then it is always advised to have or allocating an exclusive washroom for these sick candidates. That means, and whatever the washrooms generally being used while these particular corona attacked persons are using, it is advised that the others may not use during this period till they fall negative. Another important thing is that soon after the utilization, either it is the toilet or the sink or the shower handles, soap dishes, they should be very quickly sanitized. And the others should wash their hands for at least 20 seconds and need to avoid touching their mouth or eyes or nose and as and when they are having a kind of support to these COVID-19 patients for what you call a kind of moral support or anything else. Yes, it is always advisable that only a single person should take care of these sick while providing their food, providing medicine, or just checking their temperatures, BP, or just what you call this kind of changing their bedding, clothes, and it is always advisable to handle only by a single person. And at the same time, and these persons should be having a very proper care, like they should wear the face masks and they should have their body coverage and it is advisable for them to have their googles and gloves, etc. And then while the sick are placed in an isolation place like in a separate bedroom or separate area, it is always advisable and very important that we need to consider that they may be feeling alone. So it is always advisable to open a window for better air circulation, which is very much required for these patients. Further, it is very, very important that keep calling by phone and try to talk from the next room or from the door and try to send some sort of text messages, videos, so that they will all create some sort of a pleasant environment to the patients and try to talk to them from outside the door and as much as possible. If you can adopt these things, and I mean these kind of things will give them a kind of mental relaxation, which is very much required for quick recovery of any patient. Yes, and try to keep observe the symptoms of these patients because the virus attack may be very severe in certain cases, so always it is advisable to keep monitor the symptoms because and every time and as soon as we find this any particular candidate found with this what you call the symptoms, may not be possible directly to take it to the doctor unless they are given permission. So you observe these symptoms until the candidates are taken to the hospitals. And once the suspected candidates are admitted in the hospital, then obviously, of course, within very short time, and they will be testing for this kind of coronavirus and most probably these are the different kinds of testings happening at the moment like swab test, like nasal aspirate test, like tracheal test, like sputum test, and like blood test. These are all the various kinds, and based on the availability of the infrastructure and the resources and the what you call this expertise and these kind of tests may be considered for what you call this counting this kind of influence of coronavirus attack on a patient. And it is estimated that the incubation period for any particular person with coronavirus is in between 1 to 14 days, and hence in many cases symptoms may not found very early, and hence isolation is mandate as and when we found the people are feeling sick with these kind of things. Okay, what is the present remedial solution for this presence? I mean to say, at the moment there are so many challenges for remedy for this coronavirus and throughout the globe. Why so? Thing is, this coronavirus is an emergent virus, so apt medicine is not ready made. Thing is, it is proven that a highly transmissible virus, so that it can fast grow, fast expand from one to another, and the stoppage of this kind of transmission is also a challenge. And of course there are no apt medicines for this particular coronavirus, and we need to have a, an antiviral drug. We need to generate an antiviral drug which can really treat this kind of virus, and that is very important. But of course the treatment may also vary from case to case and person to person based on their severity, age, and what you call demographical aspects and other health complications. So these are all the present challenges for the quick remedy for the coronavirus at the moment. It is a global issue. Yes. What are the actual ongoing treat processes going on for this? At present, the treatment is mostly going with the combination of what you call antiretroviral drugs along with some sort of immunoboosters. Let us say, for example, ritonavir and lopinavir. These are the very important antiretroviral drugs, and which were started using in China along with boosters. And the thing for using this kind of this, let us say, for example, the trying of drugs for this kind of HIV. And these anti-retrieval drugs will act on the human body, and they will try to pacify or suppress the replication of RNA from the entered virus molecules. So this is what actually we are happening in this kind of antiretroviral drugs. And of course, in another important thing is in most of the cases, of course, in India mostly it's being used, and of course in so many foreign countries also, they requested India, and Indian Prime Minister is very pleased enough to just export these drugs also, and we are using this kind of antibiotic drugs and along with immune boosters. So the very important antibiotic drugs we are being used here is the hydroxychloroquine and along with azithromycin. These are very important drugs being used. So what happens in case these particular drugs are being, the first one, if you look at this azithromycin. So what is the actual function of azithromycin? So this is a macrolide antibiotic, and this really inhibits the growth of the bacterial RNA dependent protein synthesis. It is widely used for pneumonia, throat infections, etc. And it is a highly influenced, what you call this kind of influenza kind of diseases. But its actual influence on this viral attack, in particular this coronavirus, is not yet clear. And coming for this hydroxychloroquine, as already told, it is one of the best world and relatively economical anti-malarial drug, and it is highly inexpensive, and widely available drug. And this drug is expected to increase the pH of endocymes and hence expected to prevent the viral entry and decrease in support for viral transport in human cells. Thing is, how best this antiviral activity can be found is highly based on how the coronavirus utilized these endocymes for their entry. Further, hydrochloroquine can act as immunomodular effects. It shows best immunomodular effects because RNA replication of coronavirus is highly possible in low pH conditions. With the enhancement of pH with the utilization of this drug will obviously impact the attack of virus or the suppress the attack of virus on our human cells. Yes, as it was already mentioned, apart from the above drugs, if you are using these antiretroviral drugs and this what you call this influenza drugs, and these are only a few what in fact I mentioned here. But of course, there are so many combinations who are being used based on their availability and of course the based on the conditions of the candidates. But thing is, better immune system or the boosting of immune system is very very important to sustain the health and of course to actually look at what and how obviously these particular drugs are acting on this. So for these particular things, the most important immune boosters we are using here is the vitamin C, the vitamin D, vitamin B, and along with zinc. What happens actually, and these are all very very important, everybody should maintain these kind of the proper balance of these vitamins and zinc so that one can really obstruct the entry of virus at max conditions. So if you look at this kind of vitamin C, it helps in reducing lung inflammation. This is very important because this virus is being attacked in the lungs. And coming for this vitamin D, so to maintain the optical blood levels, it is very, very important. That means it is better to expose to sunlight to get UV rays. And that is very early in the morning. And it is obviously the persons going for any kind of walking or exercise, jogging, it is very, very important so that they can get the best vital D. And of course, it also reduces the respiration infections or respiratory infections. This is very, very important. And coming for vitamin B, it is always top for immune system to maintain well condition. So these are the combinatorial vitamins which are very much required being given as a supportive along with the zinc. Why in fact zinc is very important? It is a best remedy for cold and throat infections. And of course, the zinc also produces and activates the T cells in our body. So it will really fight against infection. So these are all the supportive care being given along with what you call these drugs being given for this treatment. Yes. Whatever we have given, whatever we are treating, here we need to look at very, very important points. What they are actually. Whatever the medicines right now we are using, these are all just alternatives. So we are not sure how best they can act and up to what extent they can act. And the thing is, to avoid these kind of problems, we need to have the customized drug. Customized drug in the sense the medicine which can really act on this particular what you call this identified virus. That means how it can pacify the viral impact on the human cells. So this customized drug, whatever we are preparing here, either it should resist the entry of virus into our body. That is very, very important. Or even if it enters the body and immediately this particular drug should act on this particular virus and you should act on the proteins of this particular virus, and it should denature the enzymes. That is very, very important. Once the enzyme got denatured, then obviously there will be no impact on this particular human being, and hence we will be protected from this particular thing. So by considering these particular points, now we need to work out on these drugs which are having no further impact, which would be safe without having any kind of further complications. Let us say, for example, we mentioned very, very important drugs what we are being presently used. But all these drugs, the utilization of these drugs is confined with a lot of limitations, because there will be some sort of side effects. Let us say, for example, this hydroxychloroquine and the persons who are being suffered with what you call gastrointestinal problems, and what you call these kidney problems, what you call these heart diseases, and even eye problems. So it will have some sort of side effects. So that is the reason, though we are using these drugs, the result may not be purposeful and may not be successful. So these are some important points we are considering, and before we are what we are planning for preparing these drugs.
So, friends, the exact solution is not yet evolved. Throughout the world, including India, lot of efforts are being gone to find out the exact medicinal solution for quick recovery. Here, one thing we also need to know that some of the patients are getting relief, are being discharged and sending to their homes. But what about the guarantee that they are not going to have non-recurrence of the same, which was happened in China, that some of the patients who are declared as got relief from this coronavirus again got attacked. And it holds good as and when their sustainment of immune system is working. So there is a greater need for designing the drugs by the molecular modelers, and of course there is a greater need to augment the raw materials, and by means of this wet lab force we need to develop the precursors and reaction intermediates so that we can supply to the actual drug making for getting quick solution. So friends, this is how we need to think and develop solution, in particular for medicinal solutions in this particular case. So we will end this session here with, and we will see you for the rest of the cases, how to find the solution in the next stage. So be safe and let others to be safe, and happy learning. Namaste.